Hi, this is David here at Highland Campervans and welcome to the handover video of this Audit Trail Tracker RS. In this video we're going to show you the major function and control features of the vehicle so it helps you get to grips on your first adventures out in the van. I would recommend that you either save this video or bookmark it to your device for future reference. So I hope you find the video useful and without ado, let's crack on. Down on the very rear of the driver's side, you're going to see this blue tap, and this blue tap here is to drain the freshwater tank. Very straightforward. You just need to rotate the tap head until the freshwater tank starts draining. Now, if you are winterizing your vehicle, it's recommended that you drain the tank off and leave the tap open, and then take the vehicle for a little drive just to slosh out the last of the fresh water. Don't forget as well, as part of your winterization, you need to drain the boiler tap too, which is covered in another part of this video. So on the driver's side of the vehicle, a little bit further closer to the cab, you're going to find this, which is the wastewater drain. This works in very much the same way as the freshwater tap drain, that you turn the tap and this will then allow the freshwater tank to empty out. Okay, so as part of your winterization, you do obviously want to drain the waste tank too, leave it open, take the vehicle for a short drive just to slosh out the last of any water that's caught in the tank, and leave the taps open to allow moisture to ventilate out. Now we're going to look up electrical hookup for your van. Now the access port for the electrical hookup is hidden down on the driver's side of the vehicle. Lift up the flap, take a cable and just slide it on until it hooks into position. You normally hear a little click. That means that we're now hooked up to the electrical side of the van for electrical hookup. Now it's worth noting that a good recommendation is that you don't travel with a live cable. So what you want to do is when you're hooked up on a campsite is hook up the van first, then connect your power cable to your power source, be it a camp position or home hookup, and then turn the circuitry on. That way there you're not carrying a live cable. Make sure your cable's fully unfurled as well, just for safety purposes. When it comes to disconnecting, you want to do that in reverse. So disconnect the power circuit first and then disconnect the vehicle. And that's a simple case of just pulling the plug out, closing the flap back down. Now what you want to do from time to time is obviously inspect your hookup cable, just make sure that everything is all functioning and looks fine, as it were. If you see any nicks or tears in the cable, it's probably time to replace the cable. Another good tip for you as well is when you are on electrical hookup is always make sure you test the breaker circuit. So on your power source, check the breaker circuit. You don't want your van to be the last line of defense, as it were, but there is also a trip switch system that you can check inside the van on the sergeant control, which is covered in a different part of this video, and that covers our electrical hookups. On the driver's side of the vehicle, you're going to find your external shower point. Very simple to use. Make sure that you've got fresh water in the fresh water tank. Your pump is on, otherwise the shower's not going to operate correctly. So take your puzzle, connect it in, and then that turns the water system on. It's just a simple case of squeezing the trigger to activate the water. If the boiler is on, the more you turn this over, the more hot water you're going to get. But that's only if the boiler is on. Once you're done, just rotate it all the way over to the side. Pull the unit out. You may get a little bit of water dribble out, that's perfectly normal. Close the valve, and that is the external shower point. So how to access the spare wheel cover? It's fairly straightforward. You need to have a habitation control key. Undo this just here, and then this unit will come out, and then you just undo this and remove the top cover to get access to your spare wheel. Once you're done, mount everything all back up. This just goes back into position, block that off, and that is you all done. Next is a chemical toilet. So when you're ready to empty the chemical toilet, albeit you want to just empty it or the red light is flashing, it's a simple process. What you need to make sure though is the toilet flap is shut. If the toilet flap's not shut, this cassette will not retract. Very straightforward. Squeeze the orange trigger, pull the whole unit out. Now at the top here you have your empty nozzle, which you open up. This comes off. You do have a handy fill cap as well, so if you put in chemicals back into the toilet, if you're using liquid, you've got a measuring cup. Now remember that in Scotland, most campsites will only accept pink or green chemical fluid. Blue is no longer valid for most places because it's not septic tank friendly. And what also is popular is the pods, which you could just pop straight in. So whatever you want to use. So if you're coming empty the toilet, take the cap off, tip the toilet up, press the release valve, and that will drain the toilet cassette out. Now what you need to do is fill the cassette up to about halfway, give it a good slosh out and about, empty it out. I suggest you do that twice, and once you've done, fill it up to about this point here where the wheels are, add your chosen point of chemical, be it the liquid or the tablet, put the lid back on, turn the flap back, and then the toilet goes in wheels first, and you push it back until it clicks. And that's it, back into position. And that there is the chemical toilet ready for use again. Inside the garage at the back of the vehicle, you're going to find the chemical toilet, and you're going to find the water boiler, as well as the drain tap, which is this yellow tap just here. So for winterization, you do need to drain the water out of the boiler. Really, really important. So you do need to drain the fresh tanks, waste tanks, but don't forget to do the boiler as well. To drain the boiler, very simple. Flip this to the upright position. Water will drain out the boiler just below. And that then is the vehicle ready for winterization. Now, when you're filling the van back up again after the winter period, it's quite common that people forget to close this tap. So if you're putting water in the van and you notice a puddle of water start to appear at the bottom of the vehicle here, then you probably have got to close this valve. So that covers our boiler and drain down. So just past the habitation door to the rear of the vehicle, you're going to see this. This is your fresh water fill. Now you will need to unlock it first before you can undo this. So it's just a case of undoing like a fuel flap, removing it out of the way, inserting your freshwater hose line, and then filling the vehicle up. Now, if you are filling the vehicle for the first time after winterization, don't forget to close the boiler valve and the fresh water tanks, otherwise the water is just going to drain straight through. You can use the habitation control to let you see how much water is going in, or you can keep going until you see water spilling out, and that lets you know the tank is full. Once you're done, just replace the cap again, turn it to the side, and don't forget to lock it off to keep your van safe. Now, when you're traveling with water, the recommendation is to travel about 20%, 25% of water, so that way there you'll get better fuel consumption when you're driving. Most campsites will have a water supply circuit, so if you arrive on site and you need extra water, you can fill up before you pitch. Next door to that, you're going to see this. This here is an external gas barbecue point, which you can connect a device to, like a patio heater or a barbecue device. Next to that, you're going to see the Truma flue. Now this is really important because this is for the gas boiler. To use the gas boiler, you need to make sure you remove the flue, otherwise the gas boiler is going to throw errors as it can't ventilate properly. Now for winterization, you do want to replace the cover, hook it back on and lock it back into place, and that just keeps the van all nice and safe and secure. So that covers our fresh water fill, external gas point, and our Truma boiler flue. So on the passenger side of the vehicle, you're going to find this locker, which is your gas locker. Now you need to unlock these first and then rotate them to release the locker. Lift the locker up. Now it will lock up on here, but I would recommend make sure you keep a hold of it because you don't want this falling on your head. So inside you've got your two gas bottles. You have the gas flow pop regulator hiding here, and it's just a simple switch on and off system. Very simple, fine to use. There is a little indicator on here to try and give you the clue of how much gas is actually in the system, but a good check is just give the bottles a little wiggle. You'll soon feel by the weight of the bottles how much gas is on board. Now it's recommended that when you're traveling to switch the gas circuits off. Again, if you're on the train or the ferries, they will want this gas circuit switched off as well as isolated by the gas taps, which is covered in another part of this video. Once you're all finished with the locker system, just bring this back down. Again, be careful not to let it drop. Push it shut, rotate the locks, lock them in, lock these off, and then push them in to tuck them in, and that covers the gas locker. Now we're going to take a look at how to set up the bed inside your auto trail. This is a fairly straightforward process. Now I have done some prep. I've removed the scatter cushions already from the bed unit. You want to make sure that the carpet is nice and flat and is free of obstructions, so there's nothing in the way on the floor here to allow the bed units to slide out. So it's a very simple process. What you need to do first of all is drop these two cushions down. Makes life a lot easier. Lift and pull the units out until they meet in the middle, and then it's a case of dropping the back cushions down into the back gaps, and there we go. That is our bed now ready for use. And some people do like to flip the cushions on the other way around so they don't have any dips or gaps. Other people will sometimes put a topper on board. What I would recommend is that you try either way and see which you prefer. So next we're going to put the beds back to sofas, and all we're going to do is reverse the process. Going to lift our back cushions out first. Now the easiest way to do this is to lift the front cushions up, slide them forward. Just makes getting at the cushions here a little bit easier. Put the cushion down, same on the other side, slide that over, and then we're just going to slide it back into position. Return the cushions back to their upright positions. And there we go. That's the beds now back into sofas. Located in the cupboard on the passenger side, you're going to find the Sergeant's power supply unit. So this here houses the breaker circuits for your electrical circuits, including your test switch, which I recommend that you test regularly to make sure that your vehicle is tripping safely. You also have your fuse box over here with all your power fuses with an indicator on the side of what fuse this each does, and each fuse is actually labeled to let you know which one you need to look at and check over, as it were. These are just standard vehicle fuses. They're not special camper van fuses and like that, as it were. So it's definitely recommended maybe picking up a pack of fuses, so if you do have something pop on you in the field, you've got some spares to replace. Up here is the master control switches. These mimic the controls that you see on the habitation panel, which you'll see in another part of this video. Onto the side here, you just have lights to let you know that the water heater is active, the space heater or the ultra heat is active, and then the charger system is also in operation. If there's a power problem, you'll have this light come on, which lets you know there's a reverse polarity of the system. If you're winterizing the van and you want to turn all the power circuits off, you have a master switch just here, which you could press, and that will turn off the entire 12-volt system for the van itself. And that is your Sergeant power supply unit. Inside the cupboard next to the Sergeant control unit, you are going to find this aerial and TV box. This obviously allows you to receive TV signals to your television system. So first things you need to make sure is that the media unit is switched on, and then this device is lit up just here to let you know that the signal box is now working, and this is your signal gain controller. You will need to extend the aerial. There's a little device which you undo just here, raise the aerial up to around the green point, and then you just screw this up just to lock the aerial into place. You then have an aerial finder just here to allow you to change the angle of the aerial if you need to. So now we'll move on to the TV. So once we've got our aerial extended, we can now look at turning the television on. So we'll need this controller to turn the television on, and we turn the power device by pressing the red button. That will now light up the control unit just here. This will just take a moment while it boots itself in. And that is our television just running just now. Now we can move this television to the high monitor. Press the button here, lower the screen down, and now we have our TV on the large monitor just above there. And again, the TV is controlled by this interface device, or you can use the control on the actual TV unit itself. So you've got TV stations, volume controls, etc. And that covers our telly. Hiding in the cupboard just next to the oven in your order trowel, you're going to find these 3 red taps. Now these are the gas isolation taps for your van system. So at the minute the taps are in the open position. They are allowing gas to flow through to the various devices, the cooker, the boiler and the fridge systems. If you wanted to isolate the gas systems for either ferry travel, train travel or winterization, just rotate the taps 90 degrees and that will put the taps in the off position. Now if you're operating gas devices in the vehicle and you're having some issues, it's always worth checking to make sure that these taps are open and that your gas supply is also on. And that is the isolation taps for your vehicle. Now we're going to take a look at the fridge that's fitted inside your auto trowel. Now your fridge is what's called a 3-way fridge. Now what this means is that you have 3 energy sources: electric hookup, gas operation, and then vehicle operation. So electrical hookup is when you're on site and you're plugged in. Gas is when you're off site or you're not hooked up. And vehicle operation is when you want to run the fridge while the vehicle is running. So first things first, we need to turn the fridge on. That turns the fridge on. And at the moment we are in electrical hookup mode. So this will operate while we actually have a cable plugged in outside the van. We can control our temperature with the button just here, like so. And I recommend for first time use is operate about 3 and then see how you go from there. If you need it cooler or less cool, bear in mind that the more this is lit, the more energy your fridge is going to use. For vehicle mode, we just press the vehicle battery. Now at the moment it's going to beep because the vehicle is not running, so it's letting us know that there's an issue. And then for gas, we press the gas mode. Now in gas mode, you may hear a clicking noise in the background. That is just the thermostat firing up for the gas system, but this then operates in exactly the same fashion as electric hookup. You can control the energy of the fridge on the side here. Now, if there's an error with the fridge, which is indicated by this flashing light here, you'll see a number of these light up and flash. This is the error code for the fridge to let you know what the issue is. Refer to your owner's manual to give you an idea of what these error codes mean. When you're finished with the fridge, just turn the fridge off by holding the button down, and that powers the fridge off. And there we go. That covers our fridge. In your bathroom, you're going to find your vanity sink, shower and toilet. These are fairly simple operations to use. So again, like the kitchen sink, you have a facet control just here, and this allows you to control the water. So again, just raise the facet just to allow the water to flow. And again, you've got to control for hot or cold water. So moving on to the toilet. So your toilet is located just to the side. Now the first thing you need to do is obviously open up the internal flap hiding down here. Now to do that, there's a lever to the side which we pull. That opens up the internal flap, and then do your business. And once you're ready to flush the toilet, we use the Wii control interface just to the side here. So to turn it on, we give it a tap to turn the system on. This is the ventilator for the toilet system, so this is normal behavior. And then when we press the button again, you will then get a flushing action on the toilet. Now there is an indicator light which will appear over here to let you know if the toilet cassette is full or not. This will start flashing red to give you an idea that you are ready to empty the toilet. Now moving on to the shower unit, the shower faucet control is exactly the same as every other tap system. You just turn it on and let the hot water or cold water come out. And that covers our bathroom. So your oil trail has been fitted with the Truma Ultra Heat system. So this basically is your primary heating system inside your van. Now it operates on electrical hookup, or it can operate on gas control. So first things first, we're going to look at the gas control function, which is this control device on this side here. The electrical heating is covered in a different part of this video. So to turn the gas heating on, we push the button down, rotate it. If you keep it down for a few moments, you'll hear it click, click, click as it ignites. There is a pilot light down here so you can check to see the status of it, and then that will arm when it's ready. So we're here arming just now. That's it lit. Give it a few moments just to warm up. There we go, and we can see our pilot light is on, so we know the boiler is operating. And then we just control the temperature by this device just here, like so. Now to action the heat around the vehicle, we need to use this control device. Now this is our fan control device. So we have a little bit at the top here, which lets us turn the fan. And then on this side here, we have A, off, M. Okay, so A is ambient mode, M is manual mode for the fan control. And we control it by the lower dial like so. So if we want the fan to be in ambient mode, the vehicle will then control the fans by itself. If we want to take control of the fans, we put it in M mode, and then as you can hear, the fans are now working really, really quickly. There is a vent mode on this system as well, which is the final one here, which acts as just a cooling vent for the system itself. Once you're done with the heating system with the gas, just rotate the dial all the way around to the top. Check the pilot light will go out, and that means that this is now fully off. As I said, I will cover the electric heating part of this in another part of this video, but for now, that is the Truma Ultra Heat using the gas control and using the fan operations. So now we're going to take a look at the Ultra Heat and Ultra Store system for your vehicle. As covered in another part of this video, you have the Ultra Heat system, which has a radiator unit, which is gas powered. There is also an electrical control for the Ultra Heat system, which is found on the control panel above the entry door to your auto trail. So this just here is the Ultra Heat radiator. Remember, the Ultra Heat radiator is this device just down here. And then the gas control is on here, but the electric control is hiding up here. So when you're on electrical hookup, you can pick the energy mode. So you have 2000 watt, 500 watt, and 1000 watt. So you use the white dial here to select the energy source. like so, and you can see a little green light just here to let you know that we're now on electrical heat. This controller here controls the heat thermostat for the device. 7 is about 23 to 25 degrees, but I would recommend you just experiment with it and you could pick what you want. So once this is set, you do obviously need to remember to set on your UltraStore system here how you want the fan to operate, either in the background or manual control, and using your ventilator here to activate the heat system. Once you're all done, don't forget to switch it off here, and then on the UltraStore controller, just switch it back to the 0, and that will turn the Ultra Heat system off. So moving on, while we're looking at this device, we're going to look at the UltraStore system as well. So UltraStore is the water boiler, and that is controlled with 2 control functions. You have a gas unit just here. Now, it's very important that when you use the gas unit, you need to make sure that you remove the gas cover, which is this device hiding over here. So you need to make sure that you remove that cover, otherwise you'll get an error with the gas system. So once you pick the energy source for temperature, so you've got 50 degrees or 70 degrees, and that there would be for the gas system. If you put it into the middle, that will switch the system back off. Now, the electrical version of this, if you're on electrical hookup, is located in the wardrobe. Located just down in the corner. And it works in exactly the same fashion as the heat system. You have 900 watt mode and a 2000 watt mode here by pushing the button up and down. Obviously, don't run the 2 systems at the same time. Pick which one you want to operate, or you may generate an error on either system. And that covers the Ultra Heat and the UltraStore heating system and water systems. So, kitchen sink. Couple of things to note with the kitchen sink. It's important to make sure that you have got fresh water in the fresh water tank and that you've turned the water pump on. So you control the sink with the faucet control just here, so hot and cold water side by side, and then you lift it up to allow water to flow through the tap like so. You can angle the tap very slightly by left and right, and then once you're done, you just close the faucet off, and then that is the water supply. As I said, sometimes you'll hear the water pump run in the background as it's keeping the water system all pressurized. Your wastewater just drains into your wastewater tank, which you can drain off later when you need to. Moving on to the grill in your cooker. So the grill is controlled by this control knob just here. So again, you need to make sure that the gas circuit is on and the 12 volt circuit on to allow the igniter to work. And this works just like the hob rings. So turn and hold the button in, press the igniter, give it a few moments just to warm up, and then you can control the gas supply by rotating this dial here. Once done with the grill, shut the gas off like so, and before you close this, you need to make sure this has cooled down. So you can leave this in an upright position to vent this out. After about 10 minutes, you can then close this down properly, and that covers the grill. So the oven works very much like the grill on your cooker. So again, you need to put the gas on, run the igniter, hold it in for a few moments to allow the thermocouplings to warm up, and then you can control the heat of the oven by using the number rotary dial located on the right of the control panel. Once you're done, just turn the gas system off, and that is you sorted out. And that is the oven. So your order trail is fitted with a microwave. Now the microwave will only work on electrical hookup, so it is important to note that if you're off grid, your microwave won't operate. So when you're on electric hookup, turn the microwave on, press the button here, that will turn the microwave on, and you do have a quick menu just up here with the order cook functions, and then you have some preset modes on these buttons here which are covered by your owner's manual. But for quick programming, you have seconds, minutes, 10 minutes, start button, stop button, door action, like so. And that's the microwave. So in your kitchen, you've got your 3 gas rings, and then you have your electric hot ring. Now this electric hot ring will only work while you're on electric hookup, and that is controlled by the device on the end here. When you turn the electric hot plate on, there's a little red light located just down the front, which will let you know if this is switched on. So for the gas rings, you've got 3 other controls just here with the electrical circuit just there. So you do need to make sure that the gas bottle's on, the isolator tap's open, and that you've got the 12 volt system on to allow the igniter to work. So push the button in, turn it till you hear the gas, press the igniter, hold the thermocouple in for a few seconds to allow that to warm, and then you've got the other 3 as well, like so. And that's your 3 gas rings running just there. Now once you're done, you just turn them back to the 12 o'clock position, and that will then kill the gas. It's always recommended to have a little listen, just make sure there's no gas coming through still. That's fine, so we definitely know there's no gas coming through. Now before you finish up your cooking, it's important to make sure that you don't bring this straight down. You want to make sure that the hot plate ring area has cooled down. Give it a good 10 minutes before you close the cover, or you run the risk of damaging the glass or potentially shattering the glass itself. And that covers the gas ring and the electric induction ring. Above the entry door as you come into your auto trail, you are going to find the habitation control panel. This is the master panel for control functions of your auto trail. So to turn the 12 volt circuit on, we're going to press the power button. That turns our 12 volt circuit on. This now allows us to use the light switches to turn lights on and off and use other devices around the vehicle. We have a battery mode here. So this lets us indicate the battery systems. We can switch between the 2 battery systems here. So leisure battery, we can switch to vehicle battery if we need to in a pinch. We have our water pump, so we can turn our water pump on or off. Now, bear in mind that sometimes when you turn the water pump on, you may hear a gargle noise. That is quite common. All it is just the water pump system pressurizing. And this button here is for the external awning light. You have control functions over here, which let you select through different menus, like so, and it just lets you see different bits and pieces, as it were. Very simple system to use. There's more details of your auto trail habitation panel covered in your owner's books, but for now that just gives you a quick overview. So if you need to check levels, so battery levels, we can see our fresh water's got 25% in, our waste tank is empty at the moment, we have very low draw on our battery, we have a solar system. Now we're undercover at the minute, which is why we're not getting much solar through to the vehicle, but there's a solar controller, and then we've got external temperature and etc. And that covers your habitation control panel. So, sitting in the seat in the driver's side, we're going to have a look at the primary dashboard controls. We have on the dash, speedo, fuel gauge, water temperature, rev counter, and in the center here we have our trip computer interface, which is controlled by a button located on the end of the wiper stalk. So, the light controls are located on the right. We rotate the stalk here to turn the lights on, indicators up and down, and then the beam is towards you to turn the beam on and towards you again to turn the beam back off again. On the opposite side, we have the wiper controls. So the wiper controls go down for the various different options. So intermittent, normal and high speed. And the intermittent speed can be controlled by this little device hit here. You can rotate to make the intermittent faster or slower. Wash wipe is towards you to activate the wash wipe. So located lower down on the steering wheel, just under the light controls, you're going to see this device just here. This is the cruise control for the vehicle. Fairly straightforward to operate. We turn the cruise control on by rotating the dial here and then activating it at the speed we want here. And if we need to make adjustments to speed, we can go down or up. If we need to pause the cruise control, we can press the button here to pause the cruise control, and to resume, we press the button again. To turn the system off, it's just a case of rotating the dial here to turn the cruise control back off again. Over on the door card, you're going to find the mirror controls. So this lets you select which mirror you need to adjust, and then you just use this as a joystick to move the mirror the way you want the joystick to move. And then you have window switches just here, and then you have central locking for the van just here as well. You also have a really handy sticker located here to give you height and dimensions and width for the vehicle. Really handy if you are possibly trying to move under a low bridge or under a height barrier restriction. This gives you meters, feet and inches, so you've got all three units there to look at. Moving over to the center, we have our heating system. So we have fan speed, fan temperature, fan position, and then we have circulator on or off. So this allows either fresh air to come into the van or be closed off from the van. Button in the middle here is for the air conditioning. A little bit lower down, you have a 12 volt socket, and you have a secondary 12 volt socket located here. And then you have the fog light switch, hazard warning lights, and more central lock and button control switches just there for you. And that covers our dash operations. Around the front windows of your van, you're going to find the Remis cab blinds. Now these are very, very easy to operate. All you need to do is to squeeze the trigger to release them, and then slide the blinds nice and gently across to their positions, like so. They are magnetized, so they'll lock a position in their shut. Do be careful with the blinds, they are very light and delicate. So when we're retracting the blinds, we squeeze the control to release the unit, slide the blinds back, again, just being careful of them, ease them back nice and gently, and then you want to make sure that this is housed correctly. If it's not housed correctly, then the blind has the potential to flop back out again, especially if you're going around a junction or around a roundabout. So lock them back off, push them in till they click, and that there, make sure that they're nice and secure. And that covers our cab blinds. So that was the handover video for the Audit Trail Tracker RS. I hope you find it useful, and as I said to you earlier, I do recommend that you maybe either bookmark or download this video for future reference out about on your first few adventures. All that's left for me to say is I wish you many happy miles adventuring and making brand new memories in your motorhome. Look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.